When the roads get messy, so do the vehicles. And this Cadillac Escalade is filthy. It's been absolutely covered in dirt, and it's the middle of winter here in Canada. If that doesn't make sense to you, then neither will the fact that the owner of it hasn't cleaned it once since he bought it nearly 2 years ago. Get ready for a super satisfying high-end detailing transformation. Okay guys, well as I get to work on this Escalade now, you might notice that something is different about this video. That's right, I've decided to run all the footage in real time today just to shake things up and give you guys a real good look at how much time and effort go into these details. It's easy to watch a 20 to 30 minute video, hear that it took me 15 hours and not really appreciate what went into that. So today you get to see me work in real time and hopefully you enjoy it. I remember making a video like this over on the Detail Geek 2, probably almost 4 years ago now, and it was surprisingly well received, but of course as much as I want to know if you liked it, I also want to know if you didn't. So watch the video and let me know what you thought down in the comments. Now if you guys are sitting there and thinking that this vehicle looks familiar, well you're right. It belongs to a buddy of mine and has actually been featured on the channel a couple of times now. I had the privilege of doing the very first detail on it after he bought it and got to remove all the plastic wrapping that comes on the vehicle from the factory, which was super satisfying. So if you've never seen what that process looks like, then I definitely recommend checking that video out. Plus I also ceramic coated the entire vehicle inside and out, and I show you all the necessary steps to doing that yourself as well. And speaking of the ceramic coating, you'll probably notice that the water isn't beating off the paint at all right now, which isn't because the coating is worn off, it's because of the dirt. There's still a film of dirt that's on the paint even after pressure washing, and that won't come off until after it's been washed. Once it has been though, and I'm rinsing off the vehicle, you'll see that the coating is still very much intact. Moving to the wheel now, and one thing I don't think I ever mentioned to you guys is that when I detailed this Escalade the very first time nearly 2 years ago, I actually made 2 videos while I was doing it. The second one was more of a dedicated how to order a new car video guide, as I go into a lot of detail about the proper steps to take with your dealership and how to wash your new vehicle for the very first time. So if you're thinking about ordering a new vehicle, head over to detailgeekautocare.com where you can buy the video guide for the price of a cup of coffee. I'll guarantee you'll learn a few things and be in the best position to receive your new vehicle perfectly unblemished. Starting on the back of the Escalade now, and obviously this is where the majority of the dirt ends up when a vehicle drives on wet and mucky roads. I'm sure a lot of you out there have experienced this before, but I do know that there's some people out there that might doubt the legitimacy of the dirt on here. They might not understand that when you're driving, the mist thrown up from the wheels swirls around the back of the vehicle due to the aerodynamics at play, and all that dirty water deposits itself on the back. This is something you can see in most of my videos, so rather than believing in some crazy idea that I'm somehow putting dirt on these vehicles, believe in physics and the fact that yes, people really do let their vehicles get incredibly dirty. Moving to the wheel well and seeing this in real time should hopefully give you guys an appreciation for why I dislike carpeted wheel well liners as much as I do. Of course, these ones aren't even all that bad, and it's still going to take a couple of minutes to spray them out completely, which if you ask me is far too long. Not to mention that over time these carpeted liners are going to get beaten and worn down and hold all kinds of road salt against metal parts of the vehicle, which seems like a really bad idea to me unless you want your vehicle to start rusting. So yeah, I'm not a fan of these and much prefer plastic liners. Continuing my way around the vehicle now, and if you watched last week's video, you might be wondering how coincidental it is that I'm working on another Escalade right now, though of course this one is a lot newer than last week's, and well, that's because I'm apparently a sucker for these vehicles. My buddy Chris had watched the video from last week and just sent me a text saying, "Want to do another with a picture of his Escalade?" Filthy, of course, as you saw earlier, and because there's just something about Escalades that makes them far more enjoyable to work on, I said yes. Secretly, I'm pretty sure Chris knows this and uses it to his advantage, but I don't mind because it's always a pleasure getting to work on a beautiful vehicle like this. Now as I get started on spraying off underneath the vehicle, it would help if I had gotten the undercarriage washer completely connected to the pressure washer wand, but at least that's an easy thing to fix. Now in terms of what my process is here, of course because I can't see underneath, I just keep spraying until I can see the water coming back clear. If it's still raining dirt, then I'll keep spraying until it's not. Okay, getting to work on cleaning this giant wheel here, and if you guys remember from about a year ago, I helped my buddy out and swapped over to this winter set of wheels, which are in fact replicas of the OEM wheels, but wrapped in Michelin Excise Snow tires. He says the tires are really good and stick to icy roads well, so it kind of has me wondering whether I should look into getting some for my truck, though I'm not even sure if they make them in a big enough size. I can say though that having winter tires on a vehicle makes a huge difference when you have to drive through the kind of storms and terrible roads we have here in Canada over the winter, and if you've got four-wheel drive on top of that, well then that's just another game changer. I've had winter tires for all the cars that I've ever owned, but not for my trucks, as four-wheel drive and good all seasons is enough to keep you firmly planted on the road. And then of course I don't drive like an idiot, so I've never encountered a situation where I wished I had them, but the way Chris raves about these tires really makes me think I should consider it. Okay, well, moving on to one of the more enjoyable parts of any detail, even if it isn't completely necessary, and that's the foam bath stage. Of course, I use my own Detail Geek Mega Foam for this step because it produces such nice and rich luxurious suds, but like I said, you don't need to do this if you don't want to or have the means to. I do it because it's fun and makes things easier for when I go around with my detail brush in a few seconds here, but you can just as easily do that step with a bucket of soapy water. Though there's no question doing it with a foam cannon is just way more fun. Now starting on the wash stage, and I figured I'd mention that I always use the 2-bucket method when washing a vehicle, which means having 1 bucket with soapy water and 1 bucket for rinsing my wash mitt. And I also have grit guards in the bottom of each bucket, which if you aren't sure what those are, I've got links to them in the description for you. But basically, in terms of the process, you want to use a nice soft microfiber chenille wash mitt and go panel by panel, rinsing your mitt after each one, of course washing the vehicle top down. If you follow those steps, you will greatly reduce the chance of instilling any swirl marks in the paint, as you'll always be touching the vehicle with the cleanest possible water and wash mitt. Okay, as I start rinsing the Escalade off now, you'll be able to pretty clearly see that the ceramic coating is holding up pretty well, and the water is still nicely beading after about 1.5 years. Of course, some deterioration is to be expected at this point, but in my personal experience, even a 1-year coating can last a lot longer because it all depends on how often and how a vehicle is touched. So basically, how often do you wash it and what procedure do you follow when you do? If you're one of those people who washes their vehicle every few weeks, no matter how dirty it is, well, a coating is still going to wear away faster even if you're doing it as safely as you can. If you're like my buddy though and don't wash your vehicle because you happen to have a friend who will do it for you every once in a while, then the coating is going to last a heck of a lot longer. I've even seen that on my own truck, as I ceramic coated that almost 5 years ago and it hasn't all worn off yet. Alright, with these filthy white floor mats out of the vehicle, I'll start by spraying all the dirt off and then follow the usual process of some all-purpose cleaner and the drill brush to get them clean. I will say that it's remarkable how good of a job full coverage floor mats do at keeping the carpets in pristine condition. When I took them out of the Escalade, there was almost no dirt underneath them and only a couple tiny spots where I'll need to extract later. Now as far as the mats go though, yes, they're almost white and are definitely going to show all the dirt, but they are made from a fairly soft rubber material and as such should clean up pretty easily, so I'm expecting these to look almost new again when I'm done. Okay, now after letting things drip dry for a little bit, it's time to take care of a few things that I don't usually show in my videos, and that's drying the wheels and tires, and then of course the door jambs as well after spraying those out earlier. Okay, starting on vacuuming the carpets now, and like I talked about last week, Escalades have some of the nicest, softest, and plushest carpet in any vehicle out there. Even this one in a day and age where manufacturers are continually looking for ways to charge people more for lower quality materials. The carpet in here is nice and soft, and like I mentioned earlier, in really good shape because of the full coverage floor mats, but I won't know the extent of where I need to extract later until I've gotten everything vacuumed. Now as I work in the third row here, I think it's clear that there's been some foot traffic back here, and since these second row seat frames take up a ton of room, I can see how people would end up stepping all over the trim pieces back here, but even though there is some dirt and other stuff stuck to them, I don't think it's going to take much effort to get that cleaned up when I've got the steamer out in a little bit. Moving to the cargo area, and I'm still shocked that when this vehicle was made, GM made the full coverage floor mats that were color matched to the carpet for this vehicle, but for whatever reason didn't make the mats for the cargo area in that same color. Obviously not a big deal for most people, but if this were my vehicle, I'd probably go a little crazy every time I saw this. Now, I'm not certain what this debris is, but if I had to guess, it appears there was some sort of a pine tree that was transported in the vehicle. Probably a small one too, because the mess was localized to the cargo area here. Thankfully though, none of it is too stuck into the fibers, so it really didn't take much effort to get it sucked up. Okay, as I finish off vacuuming in here, I just wanted to point out that I've switched over to using my ultra soft detail brush for this dash here, because there's lots of wood grain materials here that will scratch very easily, and using the ultra soft brush will prevent that from happening. Of course, you can find these on my website at detailgeekautocare.com, or if you still need to get a last minute gift for someone, then consider a Detail Geek gift card. Okay guys, it's time to get these carpets perfectly clean again, and while there aren't too many spots that need to be extracted, the cargo area was definitely one of them since I can visually see dirt in here. So after getting some carpet solution sprayed on, I'll agitate with my soft white drill brush, which usually doesn't see a lot of action, but is perfect for carpets like this that are only lightly dirty, and then I'll extract it all away with the Mighty. Alright, well after doing all the rest of the spots already, I figured I'd empty the sprayer on this seat back here, which honestly didn't need to be done, but since I still had solution mixed up, I figured why not. Seat backs are usually pretty quick and easy to extract because they don't have any under padding under the carpet, so getting all the dirty water sucked back up doesn't take more than a couple passes. Moving to the plastic trim now, and while most of it is clean, there were a few areas that saw some foot traffic, like the rear trim pieces here, so I'll of course use my unbeatable combo of my all-purpose cleaner and steamer to obliterate the mess, and then just wipe it all away in a matter of a minute. Though for any of you thinking that the dirty water this creates is going to get on the nice clean carpet, well don't worry. Back when this vehicle was new, I actually ceramic coated all the carpet in here, which made it very hydrophobic. I noticed earlier when I was extracting that a few drops of water fell on the carpet, and they immediately beat it up and wouldn't soak in, so there's nothing to worry about here as any drops won't even be absorbed into the carpet anyways. thing you may or may not have to deal with in your vehicle is cleaning the screens, and there's a lot of them in this Escalade. But don't worry, because you really don't need anything special to do this. You should never use any sort of chemical on a screen in your vehicle because it could damage it. Instead, you just need a damp cloth and a dry one to follow it up. I personally use my waffle weave towels, but any suitable microfiber towel will work just fine. Okay, with the rest of the interior steam cleaned, I'll turn my attention to the leather now, and this is the only seat where I decided the steamer was necessary. All the rest were only mildly dirty, so I just used my leather brush for agitation, but this one, it's just visually dirtier than all the rest, so the steamer and my leather cleaner shouldn't have any trouble getting it cleaned up and back to looking new again. Alright, well the interior is completely clean now, so that means it's time to get the leather conditioned and nourished so that it continues to look soft and supple. Once that's done, I'll get to work on getting all the plastics dressed and UV protected. Alright, bouncing back outside now to this beautiful red paint, and I'm going to use my ceramic spray coating to boost the coating on the vehicle and sort of top it up, if you will. This can obviously be used as a standalone product, but also works great on a ceramic coated vehicle to improve and extend the life of the coating. Second last step now is to get all the glass cleaned on this Escalade, and of course, there's a lot of it. These are big, full-size SUVs, so everything is bigger and takes longer to get through. Thankfully though, the glass here isn't all that dirty. Okay, last step before calling this detail done and taking a look at how incredible the Escalade looks, and that's to get some of my tire dressing applied to all the wheels, which is going to leave them with a nice, deep matte black look when it dries. Alright guys, well a relatively quick 9 hours later and this beautiful Escalade is back to looking brand new, which should make my buddy Chris pretty happy. Now hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this transformation as much as I enjoyed doing it, and if you did, make sure you smash the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, enjoy the guitar outro, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.